Well, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to another episode of The Divine Mess, episode 11. How cool is that? My gorgeous co-host, Mr. Curdy Daver, is joining me once again today. So love to have him on board. But before I introduce him in all his delicious Frenchness, I'll take the time and hog the screen to myself for a moment. Hi, everybody. If you've not dropped in and tuned in with us over the last 10 weeks, my name is Tina Marie and I am a love coach, and I work with women and help them return to a space of love and embrace their divine femininity, which for some of us is going to be a little tricky. So it's a journey I love helping women walk through, and my co-host is my counterpart and the balance to this divine mess that we call life. Mr. Curdy Daver Perriman is a gent that specialises in the divine masculine. So we make an excellent pair and proves that men and women can be friends. So I will handball across the screen to my very good friend, and he can introduce himself and his delightful business.
Well, thank you, Tina. Hello, everyone. I'm Kirti Deva Perman. I'm originally from Mauritius, and now I'm living in New Zealand, which is another island. It's until when I came here that I learned that it was an island as well. Well, two islands, actually. I didn't know. Yeah, don't be surprised, Tina. So I love to call myself like the wizard of the mind, helping you to unleash your inner hero and discover your true potential, with the treasure chest of qualification, overflowing with qualification in psychology, counseling, and life coaching over the past decade. I'm the CEO of the Heroes Mystic, my holistic life coach business. This is not the only hat that I wear, but I'm also an Amazon bestselling author, just like my co-host, but my book is called Inspired Creator, and I'm a content creator now, an avid psychology enthusiast, and now I co-host the podcast called The Divine Mess with the lovely Tina, which has been a dream for us, I believe. Yeah.
Much fun. Highly recommended to anybody. So good.
And we had this dream like for over a year, and we have been talking about it. And then 11 weeks ago, we just went for it. And today in our 11th episode, we are discussing about abundance. It's starting off the A series. Since we had so much fun with the F series, we said like, why not? Like, just go with the alphabets and start with the A series, abundance, where we will explore from the divine masculine and divine feminine energies, like how do we perceive or how do we see abundance and what abundance means to us, and also how we can cultivate our abundance in our life so that we can enjoy with fulfillment, joy, prosperity, and just embrace the magic of abundance. Right, team?
Absolutely. 10,000%.
And on that note, I think we should
talk. You're going to throw it to me, aren't you?
Yeah,
I knew you would.
So is it like the typical question, what does abundance means to you? Should I go there?
I suppose it is a typical question, and I have been pondering on it since we were chatting about it during the week. And for me, I think it is, well, I should say, I feel it is an energy that you hold. Because Joe Dispenza talks about frequency and talks about heart frequency, that you know, once your heart gets into a certain rhythm, it becomes a magnet to attract all the things that you can imagine within any space in time, that all of a sudden you become a frequency match for the things that you desire. And abundance doesn't always, because most people look at it and go, abundance means wealth, you know, means money in the bank. But for me, it's that, you know, because money in the bank's great because it helps to pay the bills and do all the rest of it. But I think overall, for me, abundance is love and all the things that love brings to your life when you are abundant in the love that you give out to people, you then become abundant with love, with what you receive back. So that's my very simple way of looking at it. And it's not simple, but for me, I have to break it down to that point that for me, everything comes back to love. And if we look at ourselves in the mirror and we love what we see, irrespective of the suit that carries our soul, whether it is beautiful or work in progress, you know, reflects in front of the mirror and we think, oh, shit, I'm looking pretty bloody good today. Like my hair, my makeup looks great, my glasses are good, I've got it all going on, or whether it's, yeah, no. But you still love what you see, then it gives you the capacity to share that love with other people. And it needs to be from a space of it being unconditional. You cannot place conditions on the love that you give out to people. Like I cannot place conditions on my children and say, I'll love you if you get good grades. I'll love you if you behave. I'll love you if you spend time with your grandmother. It's not that. I will love you despite of. Hang on 2 seconds. Yes, bud. So I think it has to be unconditional. No matter what, that we love the people that we have in our lives despite their bad habits, their grumpy natures, whether they're morning people or not, you know, whether they've had a good day at school or at work, or, you know, if their life is a little bit topsy-turvy, we have to love them, or we choose to love them, not we have to, because we don't have to do anything. We choose to love them despite their work in progress, their personal journey, their learning. We look at the divinity of their soul and go, I recognize the divinity in you, so long as you recognize the divinity in me. So that for me is abundant. If I'm surrounded by the people I love, I'm abundant. Everything else flows from that for me. Well, and how about you, good sir?
I love how you define abundance. Because for me, I think it relates to the quote that Wayne Dyer says that abundance, it's not something we acquire, it's something we tune into. And I feel that abundance for you means that, like love, like you said, like you define love. But for me, abundance is more like a mindset. It's how you, it goes into that realm of love as well. But it's like to find infinite possibilities of the universe that has to offer to you.
Yeah.
Because when I first encounter, when we said like we are going to start off the series with abundance, just like you, I started to reflect. So what does it mean for you, for me? Like how my definition over the years changed. And I realized that back when I first started my journey in psychology, like in 2010, 13 years ago, if I had to define abundance, it will be money. It will be related to money. And that's the only word I could think of. But now it's more about like the infinite possibilities, and it's more about the mindset. Because having just money is not helping me in any way, but having the right mindset and the abundant mindset, like finding the wonderful things that the universe always offer. Like I remember when in one of my many jobs in New Zealand, I worked as a groundsman, and one of my mentor, I would say, he is a Tai Chi master for the past 45 years. And every morning we had to collect like the leaves, you know, like the dry leaves. I think it's in autumn, right? And have to collect. And every morning he will say like, oh, we will have to pick up our like the money. We have to go and pick up and put it in our bank. So he would compare each dry leaf to $1,000, like for him. Like, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's an interesting way of seeing. So for him, every single morning when we had to pick up the leaves and put it in a, like in the bag, and for him it's like, oh, I'm depositing my money in the bank. So that's how he view abundance for him. And that's another version that I learned about abundance. And when I started to notice like things to be grateful for in my life, for example, like coming to New Zealand, having wonderful parents and family, supportive friends, these are abundant, like signs of abundance as well. Having a bed, that's a sign of abundance as well. Having a rooftop, like that's something that we normally don't associate with abundance, but we always look for the big house. And that's how I used to think about when I, like 13 years ago. For me, abundance was having the fancy car, having the fancy house, living by the beach, which is still one of my goals, don't worry, since coming from an island. Yeah, and it's like having those fancy dream, but it changed over the years where it became a mindset, but now it's more about the feeling as well. Like, am I feeling abundant in this moment? That's why I ask myself. And when I look around, when I'm able to go and see the sunrise in the morning, like like when you see that first light coming out of the sunlight and you're just sitting by the beach, even if it's on my own, and it's just you with nature, and you've become one with nature, that's abundant for me. That's abundance.
1000%.
And that's where I feel rich, wealthy, abundant.
So to turn it back, the 13 years, what was the catalyst for change? Because you said like 13 years ago, I thought it was the mansion by the beach and the fancy car and all the money in the bank account and that sort of thing. Why the shift?
That's a good question. I think it go further back than the 13 years. It was like how I grew up in that mindset where my ancestors used to be like those super wealthy people. And then out of the blue, like with circumstances that happened, they lost everything. And then we came into that scarcity mindset. And I think I started to grow with that, like that scarcity mindset. Like what I mean by that is like you have to work really hard for money. Like we hear that saying like money doesn't grow on trees or something like that.
God, if I had a buck for every time I heard that, geez Louise, I tell you what, I'd be so wealthy.
Exactly. Like each time we heard that, like I grew up hearing that as well. You have to really, and that's scarcity mindset and not appreciating what I already had, like the love with the family, the support of the family, having food on the table and not being appreciative of that.
Yeah.
And I think like the catalyst was coming to New Zealand like 5 years ago. Yeah, nearly 5 years. It's coming to the 5th year. Yeah, coming when I learned to be on my own, like living on my own and be with myself. I had to shift. Like I couldn't stay in that scarcity mindset. I had to shift. And book like Think and Grow Rich, The Universe Has Your Back, by Gabrielle Bernstein, like Wayne Dyer books as well. All these help in my shift. When I said, wait a second, like all these years, I have been abundant and I'm still abundant, but I didn't see it, acknowledge it. And
give thanks for it and be grateful for it at the same time.
Yeah. And I think like just being on your own, it helps you to change your perspective because you have no one else to lean on unless you're, it's only on your own spine. like you have to lean on. Whether you have friends around you, it's not the same. My friends, for example, like my closest friends are like hours away, and you have to like think of the time difference, all of that, and sometimes it's not the same.
Yeah.
Like you are like 4 hours away as well.
Yeah.
And sometimes if it's 4 a.m. here, I can't call you at midnight, right? It's something like that. And it's crazy. But you learned how to shift my mindset, and it's a constant work. It's a daily practice.
Yeah.
And sometimes I tend to go back to that scarcity mindset, but I tell myself, no, at the core, it's like you said, like abundance is love. At the core, I'm love, I'm joy, I'm light, I'm abundant.
Yeah.
Because we always, I think there was in one of Gabrielle Bernstein's masterclass, which I did as well, called Spirit Junkie. She always said that she noticed like all those spiritual like light workers, we suffer from that. We think there's not enough. We think like there's too many of us sharing the same kind of information.
Yeah.
But it's not. Like this world is abundant. We always have the resources. We always have, like during the past 2 years, during the COVID times, we all seen how we came together.
Yeah.
Like we got through that.
Mm.
We managed
But we
to.
also learnt the importance to, pardon me for butting in, the importance of the work that we do, and how people, because they were in such confined space, they had to start turning inward, because there wasn't room for all the parties and the going out and the distractions and going to the movies and, you know, doing all of that sort of stuff, where you didn't have time to look at yourself, to look at your intimate relationships, to see how you were with your children, all of that sort of stuff, you know, because you could ignore, you know, oh, you know, it's okay, but it's not great, or, you know, oh, I could be a better parent, or I could be a better friend, or, you know, all of these things. It made us reflect. And so many people went in search for answers in terms of, well, where do I get the support? Where do I get the help? How do I help myself? You know, how do I start investing in myself so I don't feel this gaping hole within myself because I have neglected my own personal journey,
Yeah.
forsaking it for the hustle and grind, for dollars in the bank and, you know, prestige, and, oh, I'm driving the latest Lexus, or, you know, I'm doing this, or, you know, we're moving to the beach, and, you know, or we bought a holiday home down south, or to try and sort of keep in this momentum with everybody else, instead of going, is that truly what makes me feel abundant? Or is it I'm chasing all of this sort of stuff to keep up with Joe next door, because Joe next door's got a boat and he's got a jet ski, and his wife looks like she's had plastic surgery, and, you know, she's all this and all that, and she drives a brand new Lexus, and she's got the beautiful jewels and all the stuff. Oh, well, you know, and then when people are in partnership, then a husband possibly feels that he needs to provide all of that to keep his partner happy. But when you're locked in a box, essentially, you have to start having these conversations about what does it mean to you? You know, like, how do you feel when you feel abundant? What does that look like for you? Like, if we don't ask one another these questions, we get these thoughts in our head that, oh, I need to provide her a bigger house or a nicer car or a this or a that to keep her happy, when in actual fact, all she might want is a picnic on the carpet in front of the TV with a movie and a nice bottle of wine. Done. And your time, like, it doesn't have to be anything expensive, because your time is the most valuable commodity that you have to give, and that so many people don't see that. That's what makes you abundant, is by sharing your time with other people, giving of yourself, being of service to somebody else, makes them feel loved and appreciated and well taken care of. So it's taking time to ask the questions, I think, of ourselves and of the people that surround us as to what's important to them, instead of thinking or guessing that we know.
And that's where you tap into the feminine, I feel like, where you tap into your intuition and you do that inner work and you feel compassionate about where you come from. But then that's where you shift and you make that plan. Okay, what's my plan to make me feel more abundant? What's my goal into abundance? Maybe abundance for me is like feeling happy, or having a cup of coffee make me feel abundant. And that's one goal for someone. Maybe it's a daily cup of coffee, and it's just one example.
Yeah.
But recently, like when we decided on that topic, like about abundance, and I was like I went into Apple Podcasts and all those podcasts and research on that, like, because coming from, like I said, like that side background, I like to research and do my work, like in terms. I know Tina, like she likes using her divine download, and I do that as well. I do allow that, but sometimes I like to research, and that's and I dig in, and I listen to one interesting fact, like maybe fact or statement by one of the podcasts that I listen, and I was like, oh, this is something I'm going to pick Tina's brain on, or heart, right? So the premise was on abundance, and they were talking about abundance, but then they talk about money, right? Obviously, when people hear abundance, they go straight to that topic, money, wealth, or whatever. And the podcast host, she said, like, money is actually like having money. It comes from a masculine energy, right? It's like making money. It comes from a masculine energy. And she said, like, to look your relationship with money as if you're looking your relationship with your father. And I was like, that's really interesting. And then she dived in more, and she said, like, and she was talking from that feminine energy, I would say, but also from her past relationship with men. And she was sharing her experience, right? It's not anyone else, but she was sharing her point of view. And she said she started to analyze her relationship with her past, like partners. And she noticed, like, she always come from that needy place. And she was like, oh, but that's the same relationship I had with money. It's like I always need money. And that's her point of view. And I was like, I'm still reflecting on that point because I just listened to that today.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm still processing that. But I said, that's a good point, like, since we are talking about divine masculine and divine feminine, to see what's your feeling about that, because you come from that divine feminine point of view.
Yeah, because I've always looked at it a little bit differently. Like, money is energy, right?
Yeah.
And when we are in the space talking about money, it's being comfortable in the flow of it. So being able to be grateful for it going out as much as it is coming in. So being grateful that you can pay for your groceries, being grateful that you can pay for your rent, being grateful that you can pay for the bills that provide the electricity and the water and all of those sorts of things. But I was of the opinion that you love money like you love a woman, that you can't go up and pinch her on the bum and go, hey, honey, how about it? And expect her to want to come and jump into your wallet. Like, there's no intimacy, there's no foreplay with it. It's just, come on, I'm waiting. Let's go. Like, no, I like to be romanced, and I like to feel divine and beautiful, and, you know, that the space has to feel womb-like, if you want to term it in that respect, is that it needs to feel safe and warm and comfortable, and that you're ready to hold it, and that you're ready to hold larger amounts of it, because it's like any capacity to hold. We have that capacity to hold a certain amount, or we think, or we feel, or we have subconscious beliefs that we can only hold a certain amount because, oh my God, I've never earned that amount of money per hour, or I've never had that amount of money in my bank account before, or we don't know what to do with it. So there's almost that prayer that if I'm in receipt of a large amount of money, I desire the ability to find knowledge on how do I hold that money to provide a larger amount of flow going in and out. Because the problem is you get to a space where you receive a large amount of money, and then that scarcity mindset kicks in, and you act like a mother, and you kind of want to wrap it up in cotton wool, and you want to tuck it into all the nooks and crannies and the jacket pockets and the, you know, the handbags that you've thrown up in the top of the wardrobe, you know, the extra 50 up there and 100 tucked in that pocket. And so in case of emergency, you know, there's my exit handle should I need to pull it. But we don't want to have that. We want to be able to go, oh, okay, so that means a greater flow. How can I invest this? How can I invest in myself? How can I invest in my future so that this can grow with me, rather than me wanting to shove it in a tight little box and go, look at all my money and I can count it like King Midas. You know, it's just, I agree that yes, it does have a certain parameter of women can be when they're in their wounded space. They act very needy and they want mine, you know, want all of this, want to be taken care of and all the rest of it, but it's not coming from a divine space. It's coming from this wounded little girl space rather than a empowered space where, do you know what? I have the capacity to create financial abundance for myself. However, I am going to call in a partner that I know can provide a certain lifestyle for me should I choose to do something different. Like, we never want to call in a partner that we have to mother or manage or tell them not to go down the pub or spend $10,000 on a new car bit, or, you know, whatever their chosen poison is, cars, gambling, whatever, drugs, whatever their thing is. You don't want to have to be telling them how to do things. We want to invite men that kind of know more than we do, so that then we're going, oh, okay, how can I know what he knows? You know, or how can I know what she knows? Because a lot like you, I came from parents that was paycheck to paycheck, and it was always a struggle, and it was always hard, and money doesn't grow on trees. And what do you think? I've got thousands of dollars in my pocket, and, you know, my parents tried to invest money and they didn't leave it long enough, so they lost money. And, you know, so just all this very negative Nancy space around money. But for a while now, I've kind of gone, if I'm putting in the work, it'll return back to me. You know, that karmic, what I'm putting out is what I'm going to get back. You know, and once I do get it back, I'm going to learn how to make more of it, or do it differently, or to create multiple avenues of creating abundance in my life, whether it be financial, whether it be friendships, whether it be love, whether it be connection, whatever it happens to be, whether it's enjoying the environment that I live in and finding all these new spaces and going, whew, isn't this magnificent? Aren't I blessed and lucky to be living in a space where I don't have to worry about bombs falling out of the sky, or, you know, feeling unsafe, you know, in my own home, any of that sort of stuff. I don't have to be in a space of worry about that anymore. So I consider myself very abundant but that's not something that's present of mind for me. But yes, being in struggle street when it comes to money and constantly worried about money and where it's coming from, and being a single mum and living on a limited budget, I understand all of that. And that's tricky. But we are responsible for our own mindset when it comes to money, when it comes to abundance. And not that you want to have people walking the path with you, but you want to know within yourself that you can provide if you need to be in that space. But we as women, we like safety and we like security, and we know we like being with a partner, irrespective man, woman, or however it works, that they can provide that safety, security, and knowing that if the wheels fall off your cart for a little while, that they can carry the load. So that's just from a feminine perspective, I think that's, for me, very important. Even though I know I can take care of myself, I know that if I ask my partner, hey, can you handle this for a couple of weeks until I get myself sorted, he'd go, yeah, sure, no worries.
Yeah.
So,
and can I just add to that?
yeah, what about for you? I mean, like, you know, I know your perspective is different from mine. That's why I love it.
No, it's just adding to what you said. It's to a video that I watched this morning where it was another interview on a podcast with a woman. She said, like, I think it's aligned to what you're saying, and you can correct me on that. It's like she said she liked to be challenged by a man, like, who is like smarter than her, who is like, who can provide more. But she said, like, it's not about the ego, but it's about, like, if he can provide more, it means I can share more, like I can create more, I can flow. And this is what you mean, right? Like this, correct. Just to be clear, like, so you need like someone who is like it. And she said, like, it's not about being street smart or something, or academically smart. It's not. It's that emotional smartness, right? Emotional intelligence. And that's what she's looking for. And she said, like, it will differ from women to women as well. And I was like, that's an interesting point of view, right? And that's to be aligned to what you just shared, right?
But it's about finding someone that makes you want to elevate yourself, to add more richness to your life as it currently is. Open your eyes to new avenues of possibility, to new everything, whether that be making money, whether that be food, whether that be doing new activities, with whatever it happens to be. The abundance part when it comes to a relationship is helping that person be elevated to something bigger and better, and to be able to see their potential and provide that, you know, we are here as nurturers, as women, not to go, oh, you're going to go and play golf again and you're never there and you're always at work. And we're here to provide a nurturing space where they can come home and go, you know, I've had a great day, I've had a bad day, I've had a whatever day. But at the same time, we can do exactly the same thing and still feel held and safe and secure. But I think that's the nice bit, when we as women can hold a space that a man can feel like he doesn't have to hold it all the time. I think that's where, from a relationship perspective, relationships can be very abundant, in that it doesn't always have to be a 50-50, doesn't always have to be an equal contribution. It means that I can step up in my divine of both my masculine and my feminine at the same time. I can hold space, but at the same time, I can still be loving and creative and nurturing, and I can provide the home, the safety, the sanctuary, the softness for them to come home to. Whereas at the same time, he can provide the space where it feels safe and secure, and I know exactly what I'm going to get. You know, there's no wishy-washy, I don't know what I'm going to get when I walk in the door, you know, and do I need to be battle ready? Do I need to go and hide in a corner? Do I need to hide my purchases when I walk in the door? Like, I think, you know, we each provide what is required. Like you say, when you have a high level of emotional intelligence, you can read the play in any situation the minute you walk in the door. And I think that's why people get attracted to people like us, in terms of we carry that light and that abundance of joy and love and happiness. And people just look at us and go, how do you do that all the time? Why are you so happy? I'm like, that's a choice. You know, seeing the abundance in every day is a choice. You choose which side of the bed you want to crawl out of, is a choice.
It is. And based on like what you asked before, like about what I think about what was shared on that podcast was like, I was processing it like during the day and said like, at certain level, it can be true, like in terms of the relationship with the father. But for me, it's more come from that perspective of your upbringing and your environment playing a role in developing that scarcity or abundance mindset. For me,
Because
that's
it's programming, right?
Yeah, it's how you're conditioned. It's like you were saying before, if money doesn't grow on tree, right? Like you were saying, like, oh, if the number of time you heard that. And for me, it was like mostly about working hard and like working hard for money. Like you have to really work hard and all the time. And that was programming condition. And it was conditioned in my parents as well, I feel, and in their parents as well. And that keep going on. And I was like, no, this got to stop. Like we are abundant at the core. Like this has to stop now.
Yeah.
And that's when it sometimes takes one person, when you're the lucky one to sign the soul contract, of course.
Yay.
You're
So exciting.
So exciting, especially during the full moon when this episode is being recorded at the moment. So the first super moon of August, welcome.
Because there's two.
And there's two, yeah. And what I realized is like, what was I taught by my dad or my grandfather as well, and it came back to that core. They told stories about how we were abundant in terms of wealth, but then when I reflected more about it on a deeper level, I realized that my whole family, we have always been abundant and wealthy in terms of love, support, of service, because we always grew up knowing that we have to serve the other. Like this is like at the core of my family. Like I always remember, like in Mauritius, like when I was staying, if one of my neighbors is sick at 2 a.m., they will come and knock at our door, like no one else, because we will be the one taking care. They know they can count on us. And that's just one example. It might be simple, it might be strange for you guys, but the Mauritian listening to us right now, they know what I'm saying. Like for us, it's normal. Like I know when I came to New Zealand that I didn't see my neighbor until I think the 6th or 7th month. Whereas in Mauritius, I used to see them like every day, like we talk and they know all about my family. I know all about their family. And that's a different form of abundance, which I learned to appreciate when I came here. which I realized, oh, this is another form. Another form of abundance for me as well was my mom will love this, her cooking as well. So that's
Gotta love
that's
good
been
cooking.
well, that's a different debate. I would leave that. See, my mom will be oh no, oh my God. But like for her, what I mean by my mom's cooking was like how the recipes was passed on from generation to generation. And that's a form of abundance, right? And those when you're sick, you have those grandma's recipes, right? That's another form of abundance. And this is just like looking at the family. And if you start looking outside, like the Tai Chi master, like going out and looking at the leaves, that's a form of abundance, right? Like if tomorrow you're going out and you see a tree and you start counting the leaf, just imagine it's money coming into your bank. Like how would you feel in
I'd
that
be
moment?
scooping up the leaves for the council like that.
Exactly. You will be putting money in your bank every single day. Like you will be out 6 a.m., even if it's like in New Zealand, it was -2 nights ago. Two mornings ago, sorry. Yeah. -2. Yeah, it's cool. It's chilly. That's what we say, right? and you will be out there like counting the leaves and counting the money getting into your bank, but that's a form of abundance in the form of money. But when you really start to dig in deeper and look within you, that's where true abundance is. When you start counting your gift, your strength, and people like cringe when you say that, oh, you're talented. And I noticed that, like when I tell people like you're talented, for example, at drawing, and people will be like, I don't think so. Like I think like this one is better than me, and we instantly judge ourselves, and we go into that mode of judging and criticizing, and that's where the negative self-talk come. And that's where we go into that scarcity mindset. And something else I realized as well when we were reflecting, of course, during that week, it was about saying when you tell someone thank you for reminding me, right? And instantly like someone will go, oh no, that's okay. And I'm like, I do that as well, and I'm guilty of that. And I'm like, wait a second, that's the divine thanking you for what you reminded in that other person. And it's like you're telling the divine, no, I don't want any of that. Like you don't compliment me, right?
But that's exactly it. Because it was honestly, that was exactly where my brain was going. I was going, oh shit, I need to mention that to Dava. It's the universe's way of testing to see whether you are ready for more. When someone walks up to you and says, oh, I love your glasses, or I love that outfit that you've got on, or, you've got a lovely voice, or whatever it happens to be, we are always so very quick to dismiss someone paying us a compliment. But someone once described it to me as minions, little ones from Pixar, driving the truck with all the stuff that you've asked for in the back of the truck. And when someone comes up and says, oh, Dava, you look really handsome today. That outfit looks amazing. You can see how much hard work you've been putting in with your training. And you go, oh, yeah, but I'm still a bit pudgy around the middle and my legs don't look like I want them to look. That's a very feminine expression, but I'm probably not like that.
I think that's you, like saying that.
Yeah. So you know what the minions do? All the stuff that Dave has been asking for in the last month about going, oh, well, you know what, I'd really like to manifest this home on the beach. And they go, nah, he's not ready for the home on the beach. Let's back the truck up and we'll beep it out of his way until we see that he is ready for more, until we can see that he can accept the smallest things and feel rich in the smallest things before we start to deliver the bigger things. So next time someone offers you a compliment, accept it with graciousness and say, thank you. I appreciate you mentioning that to me. Because then, hey, have a guess what, kids? You never know what's coming next. The abundance train could be 2 seconds away.
Yeah. Well, thank you for co-hosting with me, because you bring in abundance of wisdom, of divine feminine.
Joy and shits and giggles just to entertain you on a regular basis.
Yeah. That's why I stopped watching Netflix,
My life, the Netflix special. I'm sure a Netflix producer is going to come to me one day and go, oh my God, can we use you for a story? Because I think Joe Rogan mentioned it once when we're talking about abundance. He said, imagine you have a video crew following your every move for the next 12 months, and they are recording your life on the way to that next big milestone, making your first $1 million, whatever, the running the Boston Marathon, or whatever your thing happens to be. How would you behave differently? How would you act like you have all the riches in the world? That your pockets are lined, that your heart is full, that you have amazing people surrounding you that are there to lift you up and encourage you and kick you in the butt when you're acting like an absolute numpty, when you need that gentle reminder that perhaps you could do things a little bit better. Think about it that way. How would you do it differently? If someone was recording your action, would you still be sitting on the couch going, I just want to Netflix and chill? Or would you perhaps do it in another way? Would you be getting your butt out there in the freezing cold, in the -2, and going and watching the sunrise and saying, thank you for everything that I have, because you know what? This is glory at its most divine. There's more to it when you can see things like that and go, oh.
That's true. And I love that, having this idea, like having a video crew.
I think it's amazing.
It's like, the Kim Kardashian, Keeping Up with the Kardashian or something like that.
Never seen it, never will. But anyway.
It's like, well, you can create one of your own and just say Keeping Up with Tina, for example, and something like that. And watching your thought, and I think it will come from that observer perspective, and that's where you tap into the feminine, and you come from that compassionate place and loving place, and then you're like, what's my next step? And that's where you shift into the gear of the masculine energy and say, okay, that's my goal, that's my plan, what's the next best step I can take, like today, to feel abundant, for example.
Yes.
But for you, for the listeners, I would say, what's the one tip, or if you have a few tips that you would like to share with them, how they can move from that scarcity mindset or to that abundance mindset? And for you, like you said, it's that love.
Yeah, for me, it was sitting with a list. So I wrote a desire list, 111 things that I desired in my life. And trust me, ladies and gents, the first 30, super simple, quick. These are all the things I want to do. The next 40, we're asking to look a little bit deeper, and it's a little bit trickier and a little bit harder. And the last 30 and 40 were really coming from the depths of going, not being limited and narrow-minded and not running those paths of how I was raised, and going, you know what? I might like to go to Richard Branson's Island. I might like to be invited. And I think I could have cocktails and drink there for a week. You know, so just like pie in the sky. I have no concept of how that's going to happen. I think a client might buy me a Tesla. I don't know how that's going to happen. I don't need to know how that's going to happen. But when it happens, I'm going to give my utmost gratitude to the universe and to my client and say, thank you so very much. I truly appreciate that. So by doing that, we give our souls and our human meat suits the space to open up the doors and the windows and to look further past our limited mindset to go, what would it feel like? What would it look like? So that's one in terms of doing that. I think having a gratitude practice every day in being grateful for the simple things, a roof, food, people who love you. You know what? And if you don't have people who love you, maybe you need to find some new people who love you, or who can love you, or learn to love you, or accept the unique, beautiful creature that you are. And I think movement for me is my third, because it gives my brain space to, whether it be on the mat practicing yoga, whether it be walking my dogs along the bush track, whether it be in the gym and sweating out a very hard 5K, it gives my brain space to be open to all of the possibilities of how I can show up, and that how I will then, I know that it will just automatically come back to me in some way, shape or form. And I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow. It may happen weeks down the track. And I don't know how karma plays out with that. I just know that if I put the time and the effort in, then I will be. I know I'm abundant in lots of areas of my life. And I think it only stands to reason that it will continue into other areas of my life as we grow, as our business grows, as our podcast grows, as all the things that we are working on behind the scenes start to grow, then we get to impact and assist and help and be of service. That makes us abundant. That makes us feel abundant because we feel the love and the joy and all the good fun stuff. So that would be my three. Are your three different to mine or in a similar vein?
It's kind of similar. I would like maybe change the first one in terms of the list. I would rather write down before writing what I desire is like, what are my limiting beliefs? Like, what are my limiting thoughts or negative thoughts, or what are the first things I heard about abundance? And go back to that and then start shifting. Because for me, I feel like I need to acknowledge where I come from. And that's a huge thing for me. I always go back, like with my clients, I like to go back into that and to acknowledge where you come from. For me, your roots matters, like where you come from. And it's about acknowledging and being grateful about that, what they taught you then. And then start shifting, because that will immediately, you flip it. You flip those negative thoughts and say, for example, if you keep saying like, I need to work hard for money. So flipping it will be like, I work smart, money work for me. And that's just one example, like how money work for me, or freedom, I'm free. That's a form of abundance as well.
Yeah, you're free to make any choice you like.
Exactly. And like, for example, I can travel anywhere in the world, first class. That's another form of abundance as well. and I'm surrounded by people. And for me as well, is like the second one would be the gratitude list as well. And then it will be surrounding yourself with the right people, those who has those abundance mindset. Because once you start digging in what like your scarcity thoughts, like about your scarce mindset, then you will notice, oh, actually, when I hear this person, well, it's not aligned with who I want to be. And
Right.
automatically you will see people, like your energy will start vibrating higher, and automatically people will start drifting off. And that's when you realize that, yeah, you're moving into that positive, that grateful, that abundance mindset.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like writing what you don't want, rather writing down the limiting belief, flipping it, change it into a gratitude list, and then surround yourself with people that will shower love and also tell you your truth, the honest truth about where you are. Because when I was researching about abundance, there was one blog that says, like, you need to have friends where once a week you actually sit together and you share your goals, right? And
accountability partners.
yeah, kind of that. But it's like, where are you at? What's not working? What didn't work this week? Were you procrastinating? Were you too much into that wounded masculine where you're just being lazy technically? Or were you into the feminine energy where you needed to rest, recharge, and then move into that masculine energy where you need to take action?
Yeah.
Because sometimes we're guilty of that and say, oh, we're just resting. It's
or
okay
we're guilty of not asking for help.
Yeah. And that's where the friends, or business partners, are responsible to tell you your truth.
Correct.
And that's where you elevate together as a group. And that's where the collective consciousness awakens together, elevates together. And it has a ripple effect on the community around you, which has a ripple effect on the world around us, and which we know of the galaxies as well. But that's another discussion, right?
Drop in the ocean, that one.
It's just a bit, like, just to share.
Tiny dabble in the ocean.
But I feel like when you tap into your feminine and you really dig in, what's not working, you're acknowledging that. You need to shift into that masculine side where you're
There's got to be some doing, some action, right?
Yeah.
There's got to be strategic steps taken.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if you don't know how to take those steps and the people around you don't know how to take those steps, then that's where people like you and I come in.
Yeah.
Where we can be the friend, be the confidant, be the cheerleader, but also be the butt kicker when required, because we are holding you accountable, because we're holding the vision. We're holding the vision of you being this abundant, sensational, next level human being who is just kicking every single goal. But we need you to rise to meet that. We need you to do the work. We're happy to hold the space for you whilst you're doing that, and provide, and we'd like to think that we provide a community of like-minded humans that can all come together. And like you say, the level of consciousness rises when we all tap into that network and go, how did you make that happen? How did that work? What does that look like? What could I do differently? I think that's the point when we have a mentor, advisor, spiritual guide, whatever label you want to put on us is your choice. However, that's our role. We are here to act as guides in any way, shape or form that you need. But we're not going to act as guides for people that, you know, unfortunately don't get us or don't understand us. And that's where we throw to the other 1,000 of people that we have in our toolkit that go, well, this area at the moment needs to be worked on, and that's not my area of expertise. So we go, you go there, you work on that, then you come back. So Dava and I will have all our details in the show notes. You'll be able to find us on Facebook and Instagram and all the good fun social places that you would normally expect to find us. But on that gorgeous note, my beautiful friend, it has been such an abundant, amazing hour to spend time with you, as it always is every week. And I look forward to episode 12. I don't know about you, but the A series will continue. So if you have a word of the week that starts with A and fits in with our mumbo hippie spiritual all-encompassing conversation that we love to have, then please shoot us a message. Let us know what you would like us to cover, because we've got an idea of what we think we should cover, but you know what, we're here for the people that are listening. So if there's something that you're getting a divine download on, then please share. Let us know how we can help.
And we welcome all the feedback we have been getting in person, and
Thank you.
We are taking them under advisement.
Yes, kind sir, we are.
And working on it on it's a constant work. And like you said, like I always look forward to our chat, because that give me energy for the week. Like that give me, oh yeah, that's a reminder for myself as well. And when people are listening and they come to me and they say like, well, you said that on your podcast. So that's helping
holding
me.
You accountable.
There you go. And it's a reminder for myself as well. And that's how I feel like, by sharing what we learn, what we read, what we listen to, and sharing with people and acknowledging the sources where it came from.
Yes.
And we are helping to awaken the collective consciousness into that divine masculine and feminine energy. So it's not just about like writing the list as well, guys. Like, do the work. Like, if you have to contact us and you need like coaching session, Tina has coaching packages, I do as well. Like, and like Teen said, like, we know people around, like we know which area might work for you. Go for it. And if you feel you need, you know, someone who need help as well, share the message, share the podcast, and share the feedback. And we are looking forward to that.
We look forward to every single personal response we get, and we're exceptionally grateful that people are taking their most valuable commodity, which is their time, and they're choosing to tune in wherever that happens to be. We appreciate you. And to, I suppose, sign off at the end of the day, know that we love you and we think that you're awesome and that you've got it. And if you feel that you don't, reach out, come find us. We're here. So on that note, much love to you, my gorgeous friend. It's been a pleasure as always. And I look forward to talking to you next week. If not in the next 10 minutes, but anyway.
I'm sure. Thank you so much for listening, and please share your abundant story and what are your takeaways from this episode, and looking forward to our next one. Thank you. Have a good week ahead.
Take care. Bye.